Welcome back to the Recon Reviewers. Today we are watching Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
And today is Friday the 13th, 2023, 30 years later.
I like this intro, how the words of Mary Shelley actually reverberate from the very beginning of the movie. This actually is the best take that is most true to the book. I feel Kenneth Branagh did a very good job. Has a decent intro credit.
So this movie took place basically 200 years before the film came out. There's a movie that just came out this year called Voyage of the Demeter, which is about Dracula out on the ocean.
The captain of this ship is actually Aidan Quinn.
Oh yeah, I see him now.
What do you suggest we do? Lay down and die?
We're gonna chop our way to the North Pole if we have to.
At the cost of how many more?
Some kind of sound in the distance.
What the hell is that?
Definitely sailed to one of the ends of the earth for sure. The sound is actually coming from the distance behind Kenneth Branagh. The movie's very gritty from right out the start.
I have spent 6 years. I will not be stopped by you or some phantom.
Do you share my madness? Who are you?
My name
Tells us who he is.
Victor Frankenstein.
Geneva, Switzerland.
Just a few years before the Declaration of Independence.
Wonderfulest boy in the whole world.
So doing experiments at a young age.
Arrival?
He definitely comes from a loved family.
Young man.
I feel like that's rare.
You'll be an even greater doctor than your father.
But
you
not
know, Victor,
uncommon.
life
Not
shouldn't be all
entirely.
study.
I feel like a lot of movies
Such
and
fun
shows
to
from
be
this
a
period will have very distant parents from their kids. Kids are often to boarding school or with the help, a nanny maybe.
I think in every generation we all come from hardened times. You can clearly tell this is not a time of social media. This is where social distancing wasn't practiced, nor was it needed to. Probably would have been more necessary with, diseases and such, but...
It's a harpsichord.
Madam, sorry. She'll be all right.
That's quite the crane shot. Must have been quite the setup in the building.
This is a traumatic event in his life that sets him on a course of a series of events. Really couldn't ask to be buried in a better place.
No one need ever die. I will stop this, I promise.
Beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
Love the coloring.
Quite as light as that, though. Look!
He's never seen a hurricane before.
No, that's exactly the wrong thing to do.
That's incredible timing on his part there. In reality, you wouldn't
how do you
have
feel,
static
Elizabeth?
going between your fingers like that.
Mother,
Another speech by Bilbo Baggins.
she wanted you to have this, Victor, on your graduation. And in it, she has written, "This is the journal of Victor Frankenstein. The rest of the leaves are blank, to be filled with the deeds of a noble life."
One of the last things that his mother ever gave him.
Wife.
Yes, I want more than anything else in the world to be your wife. You must go. I'll be here when you return.
So, some years have passed.
Another boom camera. That was a switch of cameras right there. Pretty smooth transition.
Yes, the laboratory. I like the coloring, the graying.
Oh, John Woo.
John Woo loves his pigeons.
Knowledge is power only through
Oh yes,
God.
because it's written
You are
on the building.
here to learn how to think for your patients, to submit yourselves to the established laws.
But surely, Professor, you don't intend we disregard more philosophical approaches, those which stir the imagination as well as the intellect.
What is your name?
Victor Frankenstein, sir.
And here, even his own professor was even explaining to him there are just certain rules and laws that we will not break. John Cleese, standing in the background, who would most likely agree with Victor Frankenstein.
by the way, and I'm
Victor
completely crazy.
Frankenstein's friend here is actually Tom Hulce. He actually played Mozart in the movie Amadeus.
Life is life. Death is death.
That premise has been repeatedly challenged by members of your own staff.
What you are suggesting is not only illegal, it is immoral.
Dear Diary, why does no one understand?
You. I'm sorry. Listen, I came here to learn all about the new science about...
I don't think I've ever really
So we
seen
can
John
change things. We
Cleese
can
in
make
a
things better.
movie
Now, you
that
know
wasn't a
that.
comedy.
Come on. The Chinese have based their medical science on the belief run by energy stream. Their doctors treat patients by inserting needles, various key points, to manipulate these electric streams.
We can replace one
He's
part.
considering making a custom human being driven by the pursuit of knowledge so far to the point of madness.
No, I abandoned my other researches many years ago.
You're not sticking that in me.
It's Robert De Niro.
Yes, I am. It's the law.
They're trying to make vaccinations here during the plague. De Niro kills the mentor. Like the camera effects here.
Yeah, there are a ton of boom shots in this movie.
The dramatics are fresh.
Here's another boom.
This movie is very gritty. It's gritty where it needs to be. It's clean where it needs to be. So now that John Cleese is dead, he's free to just peruse through his mentor's journal. He's gone to the execution site. He retrieved Robert De Niro's body, and he's lost too many people, and mentally that's taken a toll on him. Deep down, he feels like he has no other recourse.
I wrote them. I wrote the letters. He hasn't written to me in months. Horrific is happening to him. I can feel it. If he was mine, I would have gone already.
His loss for all the people that are just no longer with him has really just began him on this path to madness.
Materials, that's all they are.
Now he's breaking into a graveyard to go and retrieve his old predecessor. Takes his brain, to say the least. He's broken more than just a few laws. All of these people that have died from cholera.
Need more direct power.
Taking all the parts from people, charging them with electric eels,
The chief biogenic element.
form these experiments to see for himself that if he can actually create life, the frog is even strong enough to break the glass. Is stitching all the skin, all the organs together, the limbs, infusing his creation with all the vital fluids it needs. The work process has definitely driven him into madness.
It's an epidemic. Most of us are getting out while we still can.
Goodbye, Henry.
Victor, it's me, Elizabeth. What's happened to you? How can you
He
live here
certainly
like
brought
this?
his work
No, I
home
have
with
to
him.
stay.
Even if it means you'll die.
Yes.
I cannot abandon this work now.
His friend, who really knows the truth about how Frankenstein actually feels about Elizabeth, tries to get her back. The soundtrack to this movie has a very nice emotional feel to it. Kenneth Branagh really went all out on making this quite the spectacle. Even made it very realistic to how the older school Frankenstein movies played out. I noticed that the electrical effects in this movie actually have their own unique shade of blue. Here come the electric eels. I like how we went this way with it instead of just using lightning. In reality, lightning would have fried like pretty much anything organic. Lightning is strong enough to turn sand into glass.
No!
Here he thinks he failed. Needs to understand his creation is literally submerged in liquid.
It's alive.
You didn't
Enhanced
just create him and then
physical
just
strength.
abandoned him right out the start. But Victor had it his way. Repercussions be damned. He's looking at himself, how lost he's become. Goes to show what loss can actually do to a human being. Creation trust itself and left. Henry wakes up in the middle of nowhere on the streets of a cholera-infested city, doing what he can to just find food. Preacher has literally no money. Now they're pointing the finger at him for spreading the cholera. It was some kind of leper. The creature just has inhuman strength. You can clearly tell that that person was just thrown and flung on pulleys. Still authentic enough. Really has no choice but to hide amongst a bunch of dead bodies. One convenient way to get out of the city.
Yeah, I feel like that takes quite a bit of intelligence.
I feared cholera. Turned out to be pneumonia. The epidemic. Well, anyone who's without shelter or food will die. I'm certain of it. Thank.
He's grateful that the epidemic taken over most of the city in the hopes that the creature would actually succumb to the disease. He hears familiar music playing in the background. There's some light at the end of the tunnel for him. The camera work in this movie is definitely very live.
Certainly is its own character.
Even the lighting actually seems to have its own sort of life to it.
It's over. Yeah. It's finished.
The darks aren't exactly darks. They're ghostly. Here he hears someone playing the flute. Really has no choice but to take refuge where he can. The blind grandfather here can clearly tell that they're not alone.
We'll never get through the winter with this yield. Ground's frozen hard.
We'll do this together.
Hard to dig up potatoes when the ground's frozen.
And thankfully, the creature actually has the strength of 20 men.
Look.
All their vegetables. Aww.
They must be gifts from the good spirit of the forest.
I would like to know who and why.
Was it, Grandpa?
Right.
Here the creature is actually learning to speak. Robert De Niro definitely does a very good job with the emotional expression of the creature.
Nice silhouette shot.
Helena Bonham Carter, she's been in lots of movies. Kenneth Branagh, this is actually one of the first movies he ever directed. Oh no. Now it finally occurs to him. The creature has taken the coat that actually has Victor Frankenstein's journal. He didn't just help feed that family, he also was able to help the family provide the means to actually make money to pay for their home.
You're the good spirit of the forest.
Not exactly.
This is the landowner taking things really too far and
Whoa, seriously?
definitely deserving a whipping. I'm curious as to whether or not for a fact that they made Robert De Niro actually taller, gave him leg extensions.
Won't you come and sit by the fire? Don't be afraid. Ah, that's better.
Robert De Niro is very well read as the creature. Does an amazing job with him.
Why?
It's really hard to believe that he ever played the creature yet. Like, he just does it so very well.
That is that. Worse.
Now the family is going to think the creature is the one that hurt him.
Poor man. Have you no friends? They don't know me.
No.
That's too bad.
They think it was him that attacked, and the family's going to leave because they think that the landlord's dead. The only kind gift that he actually ever received, give the offering that they gave him as the good spirit of the forest, but he ends up just being too late to actually show it. It was created, abandoned, mistreated, misunderstood.
Revenge, Frankenstein!
But I truly feel that this is the best version of Frankenstein you could actually look for. So, in summary, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, just a little over 2-hour movie. It doesn't feel long. The story itself actually progresses at a very fair pace. It doesn't progress too slow. It doesn't progress too fast. The scenery, the imagery feels like it has its own character itself. The acting is very top-notch. Robert De Niro definitely hands down steals the show as the creature. Kenneth Branagh played a very good Victor Frankenstein. He goes from just being very young to the actual Dr. Frankenstein, and through his life you see him at his highest all the way to his lowest, and you see that just over the course of events that actually happen through his life, how he eventually just gets driven into just this madness and this desperation to bring people back from the dead. the supporting characters themselves, how they intertwine with the creator and the creation, how they get absorbed into the plot is very nicely woven together. I had a very good time with this. My opinion, out of any other version of Frankenstein that I've seen, it didn't feel overacted. It didn't feel underwhelming. It's a movie that didn't need a whole lot of CGI to actually justify what was happening, even when they had the scene where they were actually creating the creature itself.
I enjoyed a lot of the camera shots in this movie. There were a ton of crane shots that were just really entertaining, well crafted, and some transitions that were pretty seamless. I feel like this movie really is a tragedy more than anything. There are some gruesome parts, but overall it's a sad story. It's a cautionary tale. Overall, I think it just leaves me feeling sad. But it's a great movie, and I highly recommend it.
When it comes to the old stories of Frankenstein and Dracula, the Mummy, these characters, they basically all fit the formula of being a tragedy or in a tragedy. They're looking for love, connection of some sort. The soundtrack to this movie is also noteworthy itself. What did you think of the soundtrack?
The music was quite moving, kept the pace of the movie pretty well. Like you said earlier, though it's 2 hours long, it didn't feel like 2 hours. Felt like it was going at a pretty good clip throughout.
This has been the Recon Reviewers. Thank you for watching.
Catch us on the next one.